when you talk about mental health, you're really just talking about health. Your mind, your brain, it's a muscle in your body. And, we need to be taking care of all parts of us, fighters and people in general. We need to make health a priority.
If you're watching this and you're looking at Angela and you're like, wow, she's so sweet, she will break your arm real fast.
And I have this new dentist, and he was asking me, I went in because my tooth was cracked. And he's like, what do? You chewing on ice cubes or something? And I'm like, oh, it was from my last fight. And he's like, you got into a fist fight? And I was like, no, I'm a professional fighter. And he was like, what? Fight? Like in a cage? And I was like, yeah, I do. And he was like, I can't watch women fight. I can't do that, when the guys fight, it's all good, but I can't watch women fight. And then I was just like, okay.
Lelina Maikako, welcome to Keep It Aloha, a podcast that keeps it aloha by being a fighter in more senses than one. I'm your host, Kamaka, and I was a fighter growing up, fighting with my siblings all day. That's my fight story. These days, I'm just a lover. This is going to be a very fun episode, but before we introduce our guests, I got to remind you to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/kamakadias if you want to support us for as little as $3 a month. You can get BTS of our podcasting and some other awesome perks that you won't know unless you check it out. If supporting us with money is not for you, but you still love this podcast, please consider leaving us a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It helps out so much with the algorithm and helps us get bigger opportunities in the future. I truly appreciate every single one and read them all. And to prove it, I want to share this review from Manu Naiole. This person says, makes one think. I started listening to the podcast recently. I don't necessarily agree with everything shared, but hearing different perspectives in a thoughtful and caring manner breathes life into my na'au. Mahalo for making me think and helping me deepen my aloha for Hawaii and her people. Mahalo, Manu, for this awesome review. And I love this review so much because that's the goal, is just to share perspectives. You don't have to agree with everything everybody says, but as long as you're thinking, that's the main thing. So, let's introduce our guests. Support for this podcast comes from Texaco in Hawaii, which features 58 convenient locations across the state. Fueling up at Texaco is fast and easy when you use the Texaco mobile app to pay at the pump. The Texaco mobile app is a contactless way to pay for fuel so you can get in and out of the gas station quickly. Fuel your car and fuel yourself. Pick up your favorite local snacks and ice cold drinks at your neighborhood Texaco today. Texaco at Techron. Driving performance. Immerse yourself in the underwater wonders of Hawaii's marine life with Hawaii Ocean Charter's hands-on guided snorkeling tours. Whether it's your first time falling in love with Waikiki or you're rediscovering its beauty just like me, there is no better way to see it than from the ocean. Personally, it was one of the best things I have done this year. I got to snorkel with some turtles and fishes, and I was able to catch the coolest sunset over the water. Conveniently located in Kaka'ako with online booking and live availability, finding the perfect day on the water couldn't be easier with them. Ride in style on their unique and well cared for power catamaran that offers all the amenities you need. Locally owned and operated, their friendly crew lives for sharing their love for the ocean with others. Sunset cruises, guided snorkeling tours, whale and dolphin watching, coastal sightseeing, and fireworks shows are among the tours their guests love the most. Use code KIA50 to get $50 off of your next charter. Our guest today is a former MMA world champion from Vancouver, Canada. Fighting out of Mililani, Hawaii, she is the youngest person to ever win a world title in MMA when she won the inaugural ONE Atomweight World Championship at 19 years old and 9 months. During her reign, she went undefeated at Atomweight, successfully defending her belt 5 times before vacating the title when she retired from the sport in September 2023. She holds the record for longest championship reign in ONE history at more than 7 years. Talent runs in her family because her younger brother, Christian Lee, is also an MMA world champion. They became the first sister-brother pair of mixed martial arts world champions. Since she has ended her fight in MMA, she is now turning her focus on her mental health nonprofit called Fightstory, where their mission is to inspire, heal, and unite the world through the stories of fighters from all walks of life. I'm so excited to meet her and talk stories with her today. Her name is Angela Lee Pucci. Aloha, Angela. Welcome to the Keep It Aloha podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing good and so excited. Thank you for that introduction.
Yes, thank you for doing so many awesome things. It made my introduction really cool because I'm just sharing what you did. So you should thank yourself and your team and everybody.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey. It's been lots of fun. But yeah, ups and downs, that's life. And now I'm here and finally getting to engage more with the Hawaii community that I so much love.
Yeah.
So very grateful.
Awesome. And it's a special episode because you're our first guest here at our brand new studio. Here sponsored by, I don't know if I say sponsor, but the Kind Media Studio. And right now it's still pretty, simple, but give us a couple episodes. We'll keep upgrading every now and then.
I'm so excited. This is a super awesome location and I can see big things happening and so much growth. So congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And we're planning our podcast party soon with all our past guests. So that's going to be a really fun event. So I hope you can make it to that.
Awesome.
But before we get too far ahead, I want to start at the beginning. I want to get to know you, where you're from. So I always got to ask people, where are you from? Where you grad? And what was it like growing up?
Okay. So I was born in Vancouver, Canada. And I moved to Hawaii when I was 7 years old. And I went to Mililani. I was homeschooled for a bit of my middle school years. And then I finished off high school at Mililani. And life growing up was, for me, traveled a lot, have family, in Canada, in Singapore, and in Hawaii. So a lot of traveling, but then also majority of my childhood was spent on the mats, in the gym. My parents were martial arts instructors in Canada and had multiple gyms. So literally my first steps were on the mats. And since then, I just kept training. My parents were very, very adamant that all of their children would learn self-defense, learn how to train to defend yourself. And we were never forced into competition, but we had to train, and I didn't really love that growing up. Some days I was like, no, I don't want to, like how kids are. But for me, what I really loved was the competition aspect. And that's kind of where I gravitated to. And I just continued throughout childhood. And, in high school, that was really when I got a chance to travel nationally and internationally to some big competitions. And that's where my eyes opened up. And I really saw, just the beauty of the culture of the world in these different places, and seeing other kids like me, testing themselves in these competitions, doing what they love. I was like, this is what I want to do. I love this. I love traveling. I love seeing new places. I love competing. So I'm like, it's pretty clear that this is the path for me.
Yeah, that's so cool. So you understood that at a pretty young age, and sounds like discipline was instilled in you at a very young age as well.
Definitely. I think because my parents, they were like, no, you're going to stick with this. You're going to learn how to defend yourself. You're going to train. That obviously helped me in competition, but also carried out through anything else in life, sticking to something when it's difficult, when you don't want to do it, when it's hard. And then learning to persevere and overcome those challenges. They really helped me and shaped me for sure.
Yeah. And it sounds like you come from a very traditional household. Like your parents were probably hard on you when you didn't do something correct, huh? Especially coming from a martial arts background, huh?
Yeah, I'll be honest and say yes. It was pretty strict in my household.
So what's the equivalent of an Asian F in martial arts training?
I guess the hardest thing was this miscommunication at times where they would think we're not putting effort when we are, or maybe it's like not fully, right? Like, no, you need to at least try. You're not even trying, but that's so, different in everyone's eyes, right? Yeah.
I'm triggering her now. Like, I don't want to think back to those days. We're past that. She's retired now. You're living a good life right now.
These days actually, I've had to adjust because for my entire life, pretty much, I've been training and, preparing for competitions, preparing for fights. And never once did I view training or, martial arts as just a healthy outlet for exercise. It was always like on a mission for something, for an end goal. And, now that I've retired from fighting, it's been really hard for me to adjust and just, train or exercise just for my well-being, for my mental health. And so I've been trying to find a new hobby or a new thing. I still love training. I really do. But I'm like, there's so many other things out there, But yeah, just trying to find that healthy lifestyle and exercising for other reasons now, more important reasons.
Yeah. And that speaks so true to athletes on all levels. Even if you're just, you played in high school, you played in college, you didn't make it to the big leagues, you're a professional. Once that part of your life ends, it's like, what's next, Because that was your identity for so long. So having to try to find a new hobby or think like, what do I do next? It's tough. It's really tough. And people struggle with that. I mean, you hear about athletes struggling with their mental health all the time after retirement or, during their career as well. So, first, I just want to mahalo you for, speaking up about it and being so open and transparent. We'll get into the Fightstory stuff later, but just wanted to throw that out there real quick.
Thank you.
What do you think you're gonna get into now? Surfing or crocheting?
So I still train. My husband and I have a gym here in YPO called United BJJ Hawai'i. So I still do, grappling, try to do it 1 to 2 times a week. Other than that, try to get back into maybe running or lifting weights or just finding something that when I do it, I feel good doing it and happy and, I can have that outlet and that's kind of what's most important. I'm not there yet. I still have days or weeks where I get so caught up in work and I just keep myself really busy that I'm like, oh, I didn't have time to like work out this week or I didn't really make it a priority. So it's a daily thing trying to keep that in mind. Like, okay, you need to take care of your body. You need to do this because it's going to be better for you. You're going to feel better after. Making sure that's a priority because life gets so busy, right? And, but what's 30 minutes to an hour of your day, So just that's something that I'm working on right now.
Yeah, for sure. That's something that I've been prioritizing these last couple of months. Is I joined the F45, which is like this gym that it's like a group workout kind of thing, and it's only 45 minutes. That's all you have to do, 45 minutes, and then you can get on with the rest of the day. Just get the hardest part out, and then I've been doing the sauna and cold plunge pretty much every day that I'm available. And it's been so good on me physically, but it's so interesting how a physical workout is so good for your mental health, right? To me, it's like
interconnected.
Yeah, same with surfing. It's like even though you're doing a physical activity, it helps my mental so much. Yeah, it's like an escape from everything.
Yes, and I think we all need that kind of an outlet, in our life because life is hard. So much stress and pressure that we deal with, on a daily basis. But yeah, I can't agree more with even with the cold plunge and sauna. I've just started implementing it as well. And before, when I was fighting and training, I would hate ice baths.
Really?
I would do it when I really, really needed it, when I was super sore. And even then, it was like, oh, I hate this,
Yeah, it's not fun.
Yeah, my whole mindset kind of shifted and changed when I thought of it as this is a challenge, right? And this is going to be the hardest thing that you do in your day. So mentally, after going through that and telling yourself like, I can do hard things, I'm going to get this done. And then coming out of the ice bath, you just feel like invincible, right? You feel like I can handle anything that comes my way. And just like little mental tests like that is so important to have to build that resilience and toughness.
Mm-hmm. That's why I think everybody should have some sort of struggle in the form of sports or just some sort of athletics growing up, because it teaches you that. It teaches you how to fail, how to get back up after you fall. And I can see that in my own family. Like, I'm sorry to throw my little brother under the bus over here, but we grew up playing sports, my older brother and my younger sister. And then by the time my little brother's growing up, we moved to Oahu, so we were already living here, going to college. So he didn't do any sports growing up. And we could see growing up that his mental toughness was like way weaker than ours. And that's because he didn't do sports. That's my theory. Because you need somebody to push you. You need to fail in certain capacities to be able to be resilient and stuff. But now he's awesome. So shout out to you, Ku. But
yeah, no,
you guys are spoiled growing up.
I definitely agree that having those challenges and that adversity and learning how to navigate through those times and how to overcome it is super important. And yeah, I mean, I have a 2-year-old daughter, and me and my husband talk about it all the time, like, oh, how we should do things, what kind of things we want to instill in her. And yeah, we definitely are going to be putting her into sports. She already comes with us to the gym, so she's very used to that gym environment and jiu-jitsu. But, just exposing her to, there's so many different activities out there, so many different sports activities, but also, like music and dance and art, and just kind of following her lead and seeing where she gravitates to, and then just supporting that, I think is very important, because, every individual is so different. And in different stages of your life, you're going to like different things too. So I think just the more you're exposed to as a child, the more you have an opportunity to learn and grow and really figure out yourself and what you like.
Yeah, awesome. What is harder, becoming a world champion or raising a kid?
Definitely raising a child. There's no guidebook on how to do that, and there's no right or wrong answers, really. For me and my husband, all we're trying to do is, do better for her. And actually doing better for her a lot of times is actually taking care of ourselves and doing better for ourselves, because, if you're not in a good state of mind, if you're not doing well, it's going to affect your child. They're going to pick up on that. And so, to really give her the best opportunity possible, we got to keep working on ourselves constantly.
Yeah, I totally agree. Before we get further into this, I want to go back to the start of your MMA career, because it was an amazing, just very successful career. You went undefeated in your weight class, which is so hard to do in MMA. I watch MMA all the time, and even the best can, get caught one time. You make one mistake, you end up choked out or knocked out on the ground, and you've never experienced a loss, which is crazy. You're like the Floyd Mayweather of women's MMA.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no.
So what was that? Yeah, what was that whole journey like?
Man, just, it was a lot. It was intense. Everything happened so quickly. I believe when I got signed to ONE Championship, in that first year, I had 5 fights in a year, back to back to back. And at that time, when I got signed and I was fighting, I was just on top of the world. I was this young, teenager, just fresh out of high school and doing what I love. So everything was new, and I was just bright-eyed, taking it all in, and it was fun. It was hard. You still had to, train really hard for the fights, but I just gravitated to the lights and the experience and the travel and everything that came with it. In 2018, sorry, I have to look at my tattoo here.
Are you looking at a watch for the time?
I got this tattoo after I won my world title.
Okay.
And so that's helpful.
Yeah,
May
nice.
6th, 2016.
It has the date on top?
Yeah, it has the
Nice.
date and it actually has the time that was presented the belt. Someone took a picture of their watch and they
That's
had
cool.
me in the background. So, but yeah, in 2016, that was like the biggest test of my life. I finally had a shot at the, World Championship title, and there wasn't a female champion at the time. There were female fighters in the organization, but they didn't have any female champions yet. And so I was like, this is my calling. This is what I was meant to do, But there was a lot of pressure on me as well. And I just remember in all of my other fights leading up to that moment, I did my walkout, right? And I was smiling, just high-fiving, yeah. And in that fight for the walkout, I was like terrified. My face was like blank. I was like walking out like a zombie, and like all of these thoughts and emotions, I was battling with myself in my mind saying, you have to do this. Like, this is what you're meant to do. But then also there's this other voice saying like, oh my God, what if you don't do it? Like, what if you don't make it? Like, and so that inner conflict was happening before I even got to the cage. And it was a crazy fight, 5 rounds, and just nonstop. From the start to the finish of the bell, I was just trying to finish the fight, doing whatever I could. And, got my hand raised and the belt placed on my shoulder, and just an incredible feeling. And that was just kind of the beginning too of things.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, at 19, you're like, think about everybody, just close your eyes. And unless you're driving, don't close your eyes. Just think about what you were doing at 19 years old. 19 years old, I didn't even know what I wanted to do in college. I think I think maybe I was playing fantasy football. That was the biggest thing in my life. But yeah, that's so crazy. It's like you almost, not that you didn't have a childhood or like a young adulthood, because what you did, but it was just different than a lot of other people's. Because like you said, it came so fast. And the fact that you're retired at 26 years old, when some people say like 27 to whatever is like the prime years, because you could always unretire. Tom Brady did it a couple times. A lot of players have done it a couple times. So the fact that you started so young, but you were able to carry that weight, that pressure on you for so long, I don't think people truly understand how hard that is, especially in a sport like yours.
Yeah, like everything's on the line, and it is hard to kind of understand and put yourself in that kind of a position if you haven't gotten a chance to go through it. But for me, it was like my life's meaning, what I was meant to do,
like
everything, destiny. And it did play out like that, and I'm very grateful that, that my skills and just everything aligned for that to happen. But also, thinking back at the whole picture now, my whole career, I'm a big believer that everything in my life that's happened was meant to happen, the good and the bad. And I'm very proud, looking back at all of these moments and these milestones. But, I'm even more proud of what I'm doing today.
I was gonna save it for later. I usually ask people like, what out of all the things that you've done so far, and like you're still so young, like you're gonna accomplish so many things. So I'm like really excited to follow your journey after, post MMA. What would you say to this point is the thing that you're most proud of?
There's been a lot of moments where, I feel like I was tested. Just going over some of them. One of my title fights, I got diagnosed with pneumonia on the week of the fight.
Oh, geez.
And I was on antibiotics and struggling to make the weight requirement because, the antibiotics, like they affect your body, your weight, your water retention. And I remember after winning that fight, I told myself going into that fight, I was like, I cannot go 5 rounds like this. I was like coughing and like throwing up. And so I got the finish in the second round. And immediately after that, I ran out of the cage and I was throwing up. And I was like, that was a big moment. I was like, wow, Angela, you're pretty hardcore. You did that. You did that. Yes. We did that. But I mean, also one of the biggest things that I'm most proud of is after getting pregnant with my daughter, going through the pregnancy, and then, that fight camp coming back, that was a really tough fight camp, but I was determined. I was like, no, I'm gonna, my daughter's gonna be watching me. Like, this is what I still loved and what I meant to do. And came back and, defended my belt, and with my daughter in the cage, my husband and my family, like that was just so special to me to see, just what I'm capable of, like going through a pregnancy is damn hard, like giving birth. And then, I was breastfeeding Ava at the time too. And going through that training camp was so hard. But then being able to just like ride that wave, toughen it out, and come out on top was amazing. But then also I've had losses in my career. I've had 2 losses, and it was in the weight category above me. So I fight at 115 and I went up to 125. And the first loss I had was, that was tough because it was the first loss of my entire career, and I wanted to get back in there and kind of just bounce back, I was like, oh, maybe it was a fluke, and I try again, and boom, doesn't happen. And, whatever it may be, something in the camp, or maybe just wasn't meant to be, some strategy thing, or I don't know. But, that really shook me up. And I was like, what is going on? Like, I was actually pretty depressed for a while. And, just really thinking about my whole life. And I was still champion at the time, but the impact that those 2 losses had on me, it just like my mind was spiraling. And what helped me to kind of get back on track and think things clearly was I got a chance to help coach this youth team from Hawaii. My sister, my brother, and a couple of our other students from our gym. And we brought them all the way overseas to Europe. And they competed in Croatia and they competed in Italy. And it was the Amateur Youth World Championships for them. And getting a chance to go through that whole journey with them, it was like deja vu, because I remember being in their shoes, and so being able to help guide them through this, seeing them just enjoy every single part of the journey, brought me back to my why and made me realize, where I came from and how far I've came. So seeing them and putting myself in their shoes, we came out with, world champions after the event. And it was just an amazing, amazing trip and experience. And that is really what helped me to get my life back on track and fire me back up to step in the cage again. And so, I'm so grateful for that experience because, if I didn't have that, if I didn't go through that with the kids, man, I don't know what would have happened, but I was lucky enough to be able to have that moment where I could change my perspective and my point of view. And, that gave me the motivation to get back in there. And, and it's crazy, we all need that sometimes, to be able to step back, look at things from a different angle. And your mind is so strong, so powerful. You could be so, down and depressed and thinking like you have nothing left. And then something like this happens. And all of a sudden you're able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You're able to see the meaning, the why. And that was a very big moment for me.
Yeah. I think I heard a quote once. It says, sometimes you need to let the world flip you upside down so you know how to live it right side up. Yeah.
Like that.
So, I mean, I totally in life, I take everything as just experience, the good and the bad. I see if something bad happens to me, and I mentioned this on an episode with Paula Funga. I said, if bad things happen to good people, at least I know I'm good people. One of my other mantras that I like to say. But it's so cool that, when you're in a very dark place, you just kind of found the light, or, you just became the light. You were the light for these kids and coaching them. And it was this really cool full circle moment. And I remember looking at your clip on the Aloha Hour this morning before I came, and you're talking about how you ended up with ONE Championship. And that was such a cool full circle moment too. I don't know if you have to, if you want to say it again, but if not, you guys can go check the Aloha Hour, another great local podcast. It's on there. But I just love those moments, almost like serendipitous, almost like destiny.
Mm.
Like we say that word a lot, but there's sometimes in life where it really feels like this is what I'm meant to be doing. That's how I feel with this, and it's when you get to that place, it's very gratifying, but also it's like all the anxiety and pressures of like, oh, what should I be doing? Because everybody's always going through that, trying to figure out what they're meant to do in life.
Mm-hmm.
So once you get there, it's such an amazing feeling, and like I hope at some point everybody can feel like that, whether they're stuck in a job they don't like, or even with somebody that they're not meant to be with, or in any aspect of life. Once you just know who you are, what you want, what you love doing, it's no greater feeling.
I can't agree more. Yeah. There's actually this book and this word in Japanese called ikigai. You heard of it, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And it's just, finding something that you love, that you're good at, that can help others, giving back in a way. And that's the most gratifying thing, is being able to find something, a talent or skill that you're able to actually give back and help others with, contribute to society. And it is my hope that everyone can find that sometime in their life, because I think that's the whole reason why we're here and why we're put on this earth, right? Is to find that, to find joy and happiness and love, but also purpose. That's what's going to keep us going and moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So again, congrats on your amazing run in the ONE Championship. A lot of people probably know UFC, but ONE is actually a very big promotion in Asia. And it's probably the second biggest one besides the UFC. Did you ever think about joining the UFC? Because I feel like that's always what people ask, like if you're in Bellator, if you're in ONE, if you're in PFL, you're like, oh, are you going to go to the UFC? So you've probably been asked that a million times, huh?
No problem. Yeah. It was in the thoughts in the beginning when I was making my decision, after my amateur fights to turn pro. But, just it wasn't meant to be. And, the Ultimate Fighter season was open, and they had the strawweight girls, the 115 girls, but then you had to be 21 to enter. And I was like 18. So I was like, it was just not meant to be. And, just kind of fate guided me in this direction. And, we found ONE Championships based in Singapore, and I'm like, Dad's from Singapore, my family's there, like that's kind of a good sign. And then we met Matt Hume, who's the vice president and matchmaker. And my dad had connections with him prior when he was living in Canada. And I was like, that's another sign, kind of like, this is kind of maybe where we should be going. Yeah. And, since joining ONE, I've had an incredible time, with them. And they've been, as I've grown, like the company has grown as well. And it's been just this beautiful partnership. And I have nothing but good memories with ONE Championship, and we still working together even to this day, moving forward. They're very supportive of Fightstory. Chatri Sichadong, who is the CEO, is a good friend now. And he's just 100% on board with Fightstory and helping us with our mission. So it's been great. I think that was a great time in my life, and to be able to still work with them, but in a different capacity now. But yeah, I think I think it was just, I was meant to find one championship.
Yeah, I love that we say Ho'ailona, the signs in Hawaiian, and I truly believe that you always gotta listen to the Ho'ailona. You gotta follow your na'au, your gut feeling, and it for the most part, I don't ever think it steers you wrong.
For sure.
Yeah, again, it was meant to be. So before we get into our, take a break and get into the Instagram questions, social media fan questions, let's talk about Fightstory, which is something that you created not too long ago, or at least I know things, it takes a long time to happen, but you recently announced it.
Yes. So we've been working on Fightstory since the beginning of this year, and it's come a long way. We still have a long ways to go. But when people ask me, what is Fightstory? Who is it for? And really, it's for everyone, because my main message is that we are all fighters in our own unique ways. We all have battles that we're facing daily. But also, I do want to highlight the fight community and the combat sports athletes, because there is no support or any signs of, mental health support in the fight world. And fighters, we just don't talk about that. And so, but I know that there are many, many fighters who struggle and just don't have that space to talk about it or to find the tools or resources to get help. So, we're really taking a stand with Fightstory to be like, no, this is what we do. This is who we are. And everyone is safe and, included and welcomed. The two main things for Fightstory that I want to, I guess, represent is, one, honoring our past experiences and the stories that we've been through, but also, two, taking a proactive approach to advocating for mental wellness, to educating and informing the community about what we can do to better take care of ourselves mentally and physically. So yeah, it's a great thing. I think there's a great need for it.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had so many people already, come forward and just share what an impact it's made in their lives or the people around them. And just to hear those messages kind of just reaffirms what we're doing is the right thing, and we're on the right path for sure.
Yeah. And you couldn't have been more true when you said this is needed, especially now in the sport community, in the fight community. It's such a weird thing to try to grasp when you see a fighter. They're known to be brute and strong. And when you hear that they have problems and they're going through stuff, it's hard for people to grasp, like, well, you're a fighter, you can just get over it, right? You get into a ring or an octagon or an arena with these people trying to kill you. You're like, oh, how do you not just fight it off?
Mm-hmm.
But as you have experienced it with, and I've seen athletes, throughout my career, I followed the MMA world very closely, and then even in my life, as in growing up playing sports and just like mental health in life, it's so good to talk about it, acknowledge it, and create this safe environment so that people don't feel alone.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I saw your announcement video, I thought it was the greatest thing ever. And somebody with a platform like you, with so many followers, to almost be that vulnerable in front of so many people, it's scary. Because you're thinking of all the judgment and like these things, like, what are people gonna think? I'm a world champion, and I have to bring myself down and be like, well, I'm not at the best place in my life. So the Fightstory, I think it, like you said, it's for everyone, not just for athletes, because when I watched that video, I thought about so many people that I knew that struggle. I thought about like the lowest parts in my life. And So where I'm getting at with this is I watched it again this morning before coming here to the studio, and something in my heart, my na'au, just really told me that I wanted to help out. So I was inspired to make a donation to the Fightstory, and this is a small donation because we're still getting started. I wanted to donate $500 from the Keep It Low podcast. It's gonna be right here on the screen over here. Jordan's gonna put it in. So it just really, I don't know, it touched my heart, and I really wanted to help out in some way. So we're just giving a small donation from the Keep It Low podcast to continue your mission.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, and it's gonna take a whole community to come behind this, but what I wanted to do with that video that we put out is really just, strip away that armor and come to a place where, I can speak to, I guess, everyone and say that, look, even though I'm this or that, whatever, we're all human. And this is just what it means to be human. You see the good, the bad, the pretty and the ugly, all of that in one. You can't have one without the other. But having that balance in life is crucial, and I can't thank you enough, for your support, and we'll definitely, stay connected moving forward and let you know about all the things that we have planned, the programs and things like that. But yeah, I think, trying to create something good and helpful and needed out of such tragedy, and that's the whole meaning behind this, and if we can help save others who are going through a rough time, who are struggling, if we can save just one person, then it's going to make all the difference. So yeah, thank you.
And that's my goal with our donations. It's not a lot, but I hope that it can help at least one person. That's what I was thinking on my drive over. Like, even with everything I do in life, this conversation, like, if it can just help one person, that's more than enough for us. Yeah. So where can we find Fightstory and give back or participate?
We have a website, fightstory.org, and we are on Instagram at FightstoryOfficial. Right now we're still in the beginning phases, very much building out a lot of the programs that we wish to have accessible for the community. But we need help to do that. So right now we're trying to raise funds so that we can make these free and accessible and open to everyone.
All right, well, go check it out. And again, mahalo for creating that and using your platform for positivity. We'll take a quick shishi break and we'll be right back with the fan questions. All right, we're back from a quick shishi break. Mahalo to our drink sponsor, Shaka Tea, for providing the best quality shishi. I still don't know if they know that I say that on the podcast, but I just keep saying it. They haven't emailed me yet, and they haven't pulled their sponsorship, so I guess it's fine. All right, so let's get into our social media fan questions presented by Texaco in Hawaii. First question comes from Komori.dragon. This person wants to know, you mentioned your dogs helping you with your journey. Could you dive deeper into that?
Yes, I can.
She's like, dogs? Oh yeah. let me talk about my dogs.
No, like, I've been a huge dog lover all my life, and actually one of my dogs in particular, Rocky, who's an American bulldog, and he passed away not too long ago. But I got Rocky before my title fight. I was going through a rough time, actually, preparing for that fight. And I came home to Hawaii, and my dad took me, and he's like, come for a drive. We're going to go somewhere. And we show up and, see these puppies. And I instantly was like, gravitated to Rocky. And he is so funny because his personality was very scared And he was a very scared puppy. He always had these big eyes like that. And he grew up to be this monster, like big macho dog, but still had that scared like puppy personality. And he's gotten me through so many like tough times. It was really hard for me because throughout my career, I had to fly to Singapore very often. So I was flying back and forth, and I would miss him so much when I was apart. But, you know, I really feel like sometimes when you're going through just a hard time and you can't really verbally express that to someone, you can't really talk about it, you know, they understand. They can pick up on these things, and they're just always there for you and showing up with so much love. You know, they're truly just so selfless. And so, yeah, I'm going to get all emotional talking about Rocky because he just meant so much to me. And he was an amazing, amazing, amazing friend. And yeah, I think that, you know, animals in general can really, they're very in tune with your feelings and emotions and can pick up on that. And you can always count on them to be there for you, to show up with, you know, love and affection and admiration for you. And so it's just so nice to have that, to know you can count on that, you know? And so, yeah, that's a little bit about Rocky.
Nice. That's an amazing story. And I'm not a pet guy. I like animals, but I don't have pets. But it is cool how people can form these bonds with animals and their pets, and how they become a part of your family. And like you said, they're very intuitive, especially dogs. You know, they don't judge you. They can sense when you're happy or sad, and they always just come with love if you got a good one. But yeah, it is really cool. I thought that was a great question. Next question comes from Maria.might. This person says, Aloha from Indonesia. How do you think young people who love martial arts can contribute to raising awareness of mental health on a large scale, not just in the community?
All right. How can young martial artists contribute or raise awareness of mental health?
Contribute to raising awareness of mental health on a large scale, not just in the community.
I think that, let me think about this for a little bit.
Yeah, no problem. I'm just going to sip my shaka tea while you do that.
So if you're a young martial artist, you know, you're going to be competing. And, you know, I think that anytime you have a chance to speak about your journey, about your preparation for your fight, I think that's a great opportunity to talk about mental health and just to raise more awareness of it on that kind of a level. And that's huge, because we don't see a lot of people doing that these days. And to be so young and already having that in mind I just applaud you for that, because, you know, yeah, we need more of it. And so yeah, thank you. And also DM Fightstory, and we can talk more about how you can get more involved.
Awesome. Well, there's your answer, Maria.might. Next question comes from Nakamura Rocks, which I'm pretty sure this is the lady that works at my dental office in Hilo. So if I'm not mistaken, aloha, Auntie. Thanks for leaving this question. She says, where or how did you get the strength to pull through?
That is a deep question.
Hey, we get deep here on the podcast.
You know, I don't think there's a answer in particular. You know, I think there's a time and place for everything, and every single feeling and emotion is valid. But I think taking the time to acknowledge each and every one of those, and to not rush the process, to give yourself the time and space that you need to heal and move forward, is very important. And to find something to look forward to find something that makes life worth living. And for me, that's my daughter, my family, my husband. And I, you know, even though, you know, I know what I've gone through in my life and it's been very difficult, but I know that life doesn't just stop there. you know, life keeps going, the world keeps turning. And, you know, my daughter, time is just flying by for her. And to make sure that, you know, I cherish these moments, you know, life is very unpredictable and so precious. So yeah, just to take it one day at a time, one moment at a time.
Mm-hmm. Awesome answer. And quick pause to because I forgot to comment about the fact that you're a world champion, you're a mother, a wife, and you, after giving birth, you continue to fight and defend your belt. That's crazy. That's just crazy, Angela. Like,
thank you.
That's so impressive. I don't think there are many female fighters that gave birth and won a championship. I remember Michelle Watterson was trying to do that, the karate hottie. I don't think she did it. And I think just recently, one of the champions in the UFC.
Yes. Actually, there's a fighter in my organization in ONE Championship.
She was were you the first one though?
I was the first one, but Alicia, she's Brazilian Muay Thai fighter.
Oh, okay.
And she had her son. They're actually really close in age.
Yeah.
And she had her son, went through pregnancy, gave birth, and she came back and she's a beast. She did an amazing job and she's an amazing champion as well. So shout out to Alicia. But yeah, like I'm good. I keep in contact with Michelle Watterson and even Misha Tate, and they are both mothers and fighters. Yeah, sure. And you know, it is a very tough job. You know, to balance both very important, you know, roles. And yeah, but it's also that much more rewarding, I feel.
Yeah. Anything that you have to struggle through makes it so much more rewarding. So if anybody's ever going through something, say you got too many jobs or you're going through things in life, you just think, what would Angela Lee Pucci do? If she can get through all of this and perform at the highest level, so can you. So quick side note. All right, let's get back. Just_think wants to know, how has speaking up openly about your mental health struggle empowered you in your journey?
I think that, you know, for me, opening up and sharing all of these different things that I've gone through in life, it's helped me to connect a lot more with, you know, individuals who may have thought, oh, she has it so good, you know, and to, you know, be vulnerable and share that, you know, I've gone through this and that, and, you know, we all have gone through something in our lives, and that's not shared with everyone. So, you know, I think the main message being just be kind to everyone. You never know what they're going through, what they've gone through. And it has not been easy for me to do this. You know, it's still very much a struggle and difficult because it's so personal and there's so many emotions involved. But it's very important to me. And now I see why, you know, I'm doing this is, I mean, mental health is still very much, you know, not talked about. There's so much stigma behind it. And I can see it in many, many different facets of not just my life, but in our community and things like that. And, you know, I think about my daughter and how I want her to live as she grows up. You know, things need to change. You know, if we keep doing what we've always done, you know, we need to make progress. And so I keep thinking about her and her future and, you know, creating that safe space and environment to talk about these uncomfortable things that many people choose to not ask or not talk about because they don't know what to say afterwards, or they don't, you know, they're like, oh, I'd rather not go there about this and that. But it's something that we can't tiptoe around anymore. We need to just be open and talk about it. There's, you know, nothing wrong with that because, you know, at the end of the day, it's just a part of being human. It's just a part of life, really. And when you talk about mental health, you're really just talking about health. You know, your mind, your brain, it's a muscle in your body. And, you know, we need to be taking care of all parts of us, you know? And I think that, you know, fighters and people in general, we need to make health a priority.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I couldn't agree more. Health is wealth. Yeah. And you ever heard of the iceberg metaphor?
Maybe.
An iceberg, 90% of the iceberg is underneath the water. So the 10% is that's what we show in life. You know, that's like, for example, social media, we show the successes, the highs, all these awards that we get, the great things in our life. But below, which is the 90%, it's the mental health struggles, the depressions, the, you know, the stuff going on behind the scenes that nobody can see. So I think talking about it openly is this kind of pushing that iceberg a little higher so that people can see more. And then it encourages people to share more of what's beneath the surface of their iceberg. So yeah, I think that's what we have to do, because I love it when people get vulnerable, because it also brings you so much closer to people.
It does. You know, I think once, you know, we realize that, hey, it's not so scary to talk about this, that we can connect that much further and see that, you know, these struggles and adversity and overcoming it really unites us all. And to show that it's okay, you know, it's okay to go through these things. It doesn't make you any less of a person, makes you a person, you know. It's like,
oh, you're human too? Oh, crazy. Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think it's just speak your mind, find somebody to talk to. You know, you don't always have to find a therapist. Sometimes just having a conversation like this is therapy in itself. Going surfing is therapy. You know, just reflecting on life can be therapeutic. So I mean, just talk about stuff. I mean, it feels so good when you just vent sometimes. You just get everything out.
I agree. Yeah. And you know, everyone finding that right, I guess, outlet to release these emotions and feelings is so important. And, you know, if you don't have someone you can talk to, just write it down, get those thoughts out on paper, you know, and then also finding like that friend or mentor, coach, or person in your life who you can have open and honest conversations with is so important. Because, you know, there's many people I love in my life, but I just know it's not possible with them. You know, and some people, everyone is different. But, you know, I think out of all the people that we know and interact with in our life, there are people that we can count on that, hi, I need to bring this up to this person, and they're not going to turn me away. You know, they're going to sit down and listen to you. And sometimes that's all we need is just someone to listen, to be heard. You know, we don't have to have someone, you know, tell us all the right answers. Sometimes it's, you know, we don't need to hear that, but just having someone who can listen, understand, sympathize, empathize with you is what we need.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned in life is to listen, not to respond, but to listen to understand. And once you know, get to that point, your conversations and, you know, your empathy towards others get a lot stronger. Yeah. All right. So next question comes from, by the way, do you need another shot of tea?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
I just realized your hands are empty. I don't know if we can. Jordan, do you mind getting another shot of tea? What flavor?
It's okay. Got that one.
Oh, is that?
Yeah.
Oh, you still haven't finished yours.
Over there. Sorry.
Okay. Well, if you want another one, just let us know. We got more in the fridge, because now we have a mini fridge because we have our own place. All right. Next question comes from Kimberly_Ray. What would you tell anyone who gets in their own way by overthinking things?
This is a good question, because I feel like we all do that sometimes. You know, we are our biggest, you know, I just wrote a post about this actually just the other day, like about as a fighter, you know, like the greatest battle you're going to have isn't with an opponent and standing in front of you. It's with yourself. And I think that, you know, the mind is so powerful, so strong. And, you know, I don't know if you heard of the saying, like, thoughts become, oh my gosh, I'm like gonna butcher it if I say it. Oh, but something like what you think becomes what you feel has become like what you do, and, you know, so forth. So I think that, you know, learning how to strengthen your mind, learning how to teach your mind that when you're going through, when you're thinking a certain thing, when you're going down a dark path, redirecting it is a lot easier said than done, because I know that myself, you know, when I'm thinking about something that happened, or when I'm, you know, feeling down, it's I hate it when people just say like, oh, just be happy, you know, just like stay positive. And their intentions are good, you know, but is that really helpful in that situation? No. So I think it's important to acknowledge what you're thinking or feeling, embracing it, and maybe think and ask yourself, well, why am I feeling this way right now? You know, is it due to increased stress, lack of sleep? You know, is it due to something of that, or is it something deeper? And I think reflection is a very helpful tool. And I think that when my thoughts are getting out of control, what I like to do is open my notebook, get a pen, and start writing down things that I'm grateful for. Start writing the things that you know, I'm glad that are in my life. And when you look at that, and you try to shift, you're trying to trick your mind and to look at the good, because, you know, it's easy to get caught up, you know, once you're in a, you know, dark state of mind, to kind of spiral down and think about all of the other things that are going wrong or why that happened. But if you can try to train your mind and to strengthen it, to look to the good, to find the good, like I said, it's a lot easier said than done. It takes practice. Sometimes it's just about distracting yourself at the moment. Go into an ice bath. You know, I guarantee you won't be thinking about, you know, the struggles in your life at that time. You're going to be thinking about how cold the water is, you know? So having, you know, finding these little things and tips and tricks of how to redirect your thinking and to push it towards finding the good, I think is important. And it's something I'm still learning. So,
yeah. And it's an ongoing journey. Even when we think we know it, you know, things change in life, or the things that we like change in life. So you're always rediscovering things that make you happy. And I think, you know, people say, yeah, just be happy. I think what people should really be saying is just like, find something that makes you happy. Like, go on the journey of happiness, of, you know, empowerment, of betterment. You know, it's not just like snap your finger and, you know, it's a entire journey. And, you know, some people get there quicker than others, and some people just take longer, but that's just part of the human experience.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Last question comes from Mr. Delicious, like delicious, like spelled like Dylan. Great profile name. How did you feel competing in MMA at such a young age and in a male-dominated sport?
For me, I didn't even think about that. You know, I just knew that I was doing something that I loved, that I was good at, and I just wanted to keep moving forward and get to the top. You know, I think it motivated me more than anything. You know, the fact that when I joined the organization, there were no female champions. I made it a point. I was like, I'm going to be that first female champion, you know? And for me, I just always let my skills and techniques do the talking. You know, if someone says like, oh, you're a girl, you can't fight, I'm like, watch me, you know? So like, that's for me, that was always what it was about. It just motivated me.
All right. Just a quick PSA, people. If you're watching this and you're looking at Angela and you're like, wow, she's so sweet, she'll break your arm real fast. If you just go to YouTube or any platform, just Google Angela Lee fights, you'll see that she will choke you out. She'll probably knock me out very easily. So don't let this fool you guys. That's so crazy. I see some fighters like one of my favorite is Brandon Moreno, and he's
Yes.
a bantam flyweight, I think bantam flyweight, one of the lighter division, and he's just a total nerd. Like he loves his collect like figurines and like anime or whatever it is, and he's just one of the best fighters in the world though. But you would never expect this guy is just one of the baddest guys ever. You ever seen that picture, him next to Francis Ngannou?
No, I don't think
It's
so.
so funny. Because he's just like a little kid in his like small t-shirt, and then Francis
Yeah.
Ngannou is like this huge 6-foot beast.
Mhm.
And it's so funny. Like these two are the best in the world, you know? So it's just crazy how the fight world works.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do people know that? Like, what are people's reactions if they don't know you? Like,
Mhm.
they just meet you for the first time and you tell them, oh, yeah, I'm a fighter.
Oh my gosh. So this actually just happened when I was at the dentist. And I have this new dentist, and he was asking me, like, I went in because my tooth was cracked.
Mm.
And he's like, what do? You chewing on ice cubes or something? And I'm like, oh, it was from my last fight. And he's like, you got into a fist fight? And I was like, no, I'm a professional fighter. And, it was from that. And he was like, what? He was like, you fight like in a cage? And I was like, yeah, I do. And he was like, he said this like generic answer. He's like, oh, I can't watch women fight. I can't do that. When the guys fight, it's all good, but I can't watch women fight. And then I was just like, okay. Like, you're still gonna find people like that, and I'm like, whatever. It's your opinion's your opinion. It's all cool. It's all good.
Yeah.
But yeah, people, they don't, when they first meet me, they don't assume that I'm a fighter. And when I tell them, it's usually a shock. They're usually like, no way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. So what's the name of that dental practice so we could cancel them? Will you be going back there?
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, it's like very convenient. It's right next to my house.
Never mind. Yeah, we'll give them a pass for that. Yeah. Ignorance is bliss. That's what it is. He just doesn't know. Well, mahalo everybody for the social media fan questions. Make sure you leave some for our next guest, and maybe your question will make it on the podcast. All right, so we're coming to the back end of the podcast, and I'd like to ask my guests, what does keeping it aloha mean to them? It's the name of the show, and aloha is one of my favorite words. We live by it here in Hawaii. So I just want to know, in your life, how do you keep it aloha?
For me, when I think of keep it aloha, I think of keep it real, keep it authentic, and be who you really are. And it's a hard thing to do nowadays in this crazy world of, social media and, trying to push out this image of something you're not. And for me, that's one thing that I always told myself when I started this whole journey, was that I never wanted to lose myself throughout this process. And it's a scary thing, you see it happen a lot. And so that's one thing that I'm very grateful that I, stuck to who I was. And I always tried my best to be, authentic and real. And so, yeah, that's what I think when I think of keep it aloha.
Nice. Yeah. Keep it aloha, keep it real. Easy. Nice. Mahalo for sharing that answer. So when you first moved here at 7 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was that experience like, trying to integrate into the local Hawaiian community? I mean, I always say it's so much easier moving here if you're Asian, any type of Asian. I'm Korean and Japanese. Pretty much all my friends are like, have some sort of Asian, just like that. That's our culture here. And I love it because it's so mixed. And
Yes.
So when you moved here, what was that like?
The hardest thing was because for 7 years of my life, I, was raised in Canadian schools. And actually, when I moved here, it was difficult because I didn't know the Pledge of Allegiance, any of the songs that I used to sing. I don't know if they still do that anymore.
Oh, you just sing "Oh Canada."
Yeah. So for me, like, when everyone is singing every morning and I'm just like in the back of the classroom, like, what is this? I don't know how to sing this. So after a year, I adjusted. And luckily, I had the most amazing teacher in second grade at Mililani, Mrs. Takara, if you're
Shout out to
watching.
you.
honestly, that was the best teacher I had in my whole life.
Wow, and you remember that at second
And
grade?
Yeah, and I've
Oh.
kept in contact with
No
her
way.
actually, and so yeah, she's even met my daughter.
No way.
So yeah, you know, people like that really make a difference in your life, because I think if I didn't have such an amazing teacher, you know, and I was going through that tough transition period, you know, it could have gone bad. I could have felt isolated and alone, but no, like she always made me feel included, and you know, and I guess when the teacher sets that kind of tone, the rest of the kids tend to follow, you know? So it was a very great environment, and you know, I'm really lucky. Yeah.
Nice. Is she still teaching?
She's not. She's retired now,
Okay.
but yeah, I still bump into her in Mililani.
Yeah. Oh, cool. And so what was it about the local or Hawaiian culture that you really fell in love with growing up here?
So many different things. Because I was traveling a lot, you see what the other cultures are like in different parts of the world. And every single time I came back home, I just felt like, oh, it's great to be home. You know, I mean, I think everyone can relate to that feeling just because it's so special. You really don't find this anywhere else in the world. And that's why they call it, you know, the Aloha state. That's why they call Hawaii, you know, what Hawaii is and what it represents is so many different things. But, you know, just the people and the culture we have here, I always felt included, and, you know, that special feeling that you can't put your finger on, but you just feel like loved, you know, and just the beauty that we have here, you know, in nature, and being so blessed to have beauty surrounding us, the ocean, the mountains. I just feel like it gives off such good energy, and that's why I love being here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you miss the most when you leave? For me, I think it's the food, or mainly the people. Like when I lived abroad for a couple of years, I think it was my family and friends and the people. I mean, the food. Food.
Yes.
I was gone
yes,
for
I
3
agree.
weeks recently, and I just could not wait to get back to eat some rice and just some chicken katsu or something, you know?
Right. Because also for me, I mean, my family, you know, Asian family, and it's so tied and integrated into like the Hawaii culture. So it's just kind of like your childhood and what you're used to. It's great to go to other places and experience new cultures, new food. But then coming back home and knowing you're always going to have this here, it's the best. I definitely miss the poke. Whenever I go to other places and they try to do poke bowls.
Poke bowls.
Yeah. And it's like a million toppings and like little fish like that. And I'm like, oh no, you know, but yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I
the
think
food here.
I remember seeing this one place is in the capital of Madagascar, and it said poke bowl, and I was super excited. I was just thinking, wow, there's no way they have a poke bowl. And I think it wasn't even fish. It was something just cut up.
Oh
and I don't know, can't remember what it was exactly, but I think it was more like vegetables or something, but they called it a poke bowl. But I just remember it wasn't like how we imagine it.
Yeah, so different.
And when I went to Canada earlier this year.
Oh, nice.
On a snowboarding trip, and I went to this Hawaiian barbecue place, and I went in and there was nobody from Hawaii. The owners weren't even from Hawaii, and I was very disappointed.
Oh.
So I went somewhere else.
I hope you tried the poutine over there.
Yes, I did. At one of our snowboarding parks. It's the French fries with like the gravy and stuff.
Yeah, so it's literally like if you go to Zippy's, right? You get chili cheese fries.
Oh yeah.
But instead, it's like mashed potatoes and gravy. Oh, it's so good.
It was good, especially when it's cold over there.
Yeah,
it's a perfect thing to warm you up.
Okay, sorry. Other question. Did you try Tim Hortons?
Tim Hortons, is that the coffee?
It's the coffee and donuts. Yeah.
I think we went there. I'm not a coffee drinker. I'm trying to remember if I got a pastry.
The donuts there are so good.
Okay.
So good.
I gotta try it next time.
Yeah.
I don't think I got a pastry. I might have. It's hard because I intermittent fast.
Okay.
So I don't eat breakfast now anymore.
Uh-huh.
So I don't think I did. But I saw Tim Horton.
Yeah,
everywhere.
it's everywhere. I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward to my trip next month. I have all these places, all my favorites written down. So yeah.
Nice. Everybody take notes. Went to the aquarium as well.
Cool.
They have a student discount. I was under the impression that there was a whale shark over there. That's what our friend kept saying. It was like the best aquarium in the world, but there wasn't a whale shark over there. So I was just very disappointed.
If you ever make it out to Singapore, they have an incredible aquarium over there.
I can't imagine. Singapore is nuts, huh?
It is. It's very, futuristic. They have everything in place. The transportation is amazing.
Yeah.
It's also kind of a melting pot, similar to Hawaii.
That's what I hear.
A lot of different cultures. You have Chinese, Malaysian, Indian, all in one in that Southeast Asia. Little island just like us. Yeah.
Cool. I'll get there eventually. What is that one movie that they went? It was everybody
Crazy Rich
Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah.
That's what I remember seeing everything over there. And there are some crazy rich Asians over there, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Is it expensive?
It is expensive, but there are really affordable places. So in terms of food, which they have amazing food as well. They have these places called hawker centers, which is like outdoor food courts.
Cool.
And you can still buy stuff there for like $2, $4. And really good.
Okay. So if, for example, if the biggest tsunami in the history of the world came and wiped out Hawaii and we had to leave, which I hope will never ever happen. This is just theoretical. Where would you want to live?
Oh, that's a tough question. I feel like me and my husband have talked about this before, and I really feel like we could live anywhere. Like we can make anywhere work. Of course, some places are, more pretty than others or safer than others. My husband's from Brazil. So, I told him, I said, it would be great to like live there for a little while. Like, Ava could learn Portuguese. I could learn Portuguese. But like, it's awesome there. The culture there is awesome, but it's not the safest, Yeah. Canada is great, but I think everywhere is going to have its pros and cons. But for us, like as long as our family unit is together, then anywhere we could live anywhere.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's what I always feel. I always say it's not the size of the TV, it's who's around it that matters. Yeah. So how did you meet your husband?
Oh, we met in Singapore.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I was living there for like 2-3 years, and I was a part of the Evolve Fight team, which is one of the biggest gyms in Singapore. And he was teaching there at the time and competing for ONE Championship as well. And so yeah, we were training partners in the beginning, and we'd literally just be trying to beat each other up and choke each other.
That's a great way to meet people. Everybody
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is like, man, he's not letting me like get him in anything. I was like getting irritated now. My husband knows how competitive I am.
Yeah.
But at the end of 2016, that's when, we kind of like got together, started to like date. And then for us, I feel like the connection we had, everything kind of accelerated. And so through 2017, we were dating, and also we were fighting. We'd take turns, like I'd fight and he fights.
Fight each other, like you
No.
arguing.
Yeah, like, within ONE Championship. And so we got to travel a lot. And, I got to go to Brazil and meet his family. And at the end of 2017, in September, actually, is when we got engaged.
Nice.
And then I brought him back with me to Hawaii, and we got married in 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 5 years of marriage. Nice. What's in your 5 years of marriage? What's one piece of advice you'd want to give to people?
Choose your battles, compromise, like everyone is going to have things that, are great about them and not so great about them, things that my husband does that I love and that annoy me, but it's like, is it such a big deal if he leaves the microwave open and I have to close it? No, it's not a fight worth picking,
Yeah.
But I think communication, learning how to bring up issues or things that you want to talk about in a respectful way, because that way you'll have a better chance of them receiving what you're saying. Because automatically, if you go to them and you start boom, like their guard goes up and they're not hearing anything that you're saying. But a lot of things that work for us is like just typing it out. Sometimes like not talking face to face and just sending them what you feel, what you say. And that way you can kind of like take the tone out of it and like miscommunication if you're saying things like a certain way that I don't like or whatnot. Maybe it's also like the language barrier between he speaks Portuguese, he's from Brazil. But I mean, sometimes he'll say some things in a way and I'm like, I don't like that, you know? But yeah, a lot of times he'll just like text me out like what he feels, and then I can kind of like logically look at that and be like, okay, well, this is what I feel and this is what I think too. So yeah,
that's
another
smart.
tip.
Because then at least you can gather your thoughts and put it on something and kind of delete, add more.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting way to communicate. Because I feel like we're creatures of emotion. So anytime something happens to us, we just react. And a lot of times it's emotional and you don't think rationally when, you're in that state. So it is good to just take a step back and type it all out.
Yeah, because nowadays too, with our daughter, we try not to argue in front of her. And so we'll table it. We'll be like, okay, upset about this, but we're going to table it for later. Yeah. So then, sometime throughout the day, he'll probably tell me about why he's upset. And then I can respond. And then at the end of the day, we can be a lot more calm about it because we've had all this time to kind of like process things, think about it. And it's better for Ava too, because, we don't want to have a household where there's a lot of yelling and things like that. I told him like it really affects her when even our voices are raised, so being able to how can we move forward and be better, parents, have a better relationship with each other and take care of her. And so, yeah, we're all learning. We're learning. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to start doing that in the future. I'm going to be like, hey, I want to fight with you, but so what's your 3:00 look like later today? I got a meeting at 3:30. Okay, what about 4:15 right there? Okay, I'm going to try that out. We'll see. I'll let you know how it works. And if it doesn't, I'm going to be very disappointed in you. No, I'm just joking. How has your husband adjusted to the lifestyle over here?
He loves it. Yeah. Brazil culture and Hawaii culture is similar. And, I think that for him too, with the jiu-jitsu school, he started jiu-jitsu in Brazil and now we have our gym here. And that's really, he loves it, just being able to connect with his students and with the community. So yeah, I think the food, he eats anything. Like we were in Singapore and he would try like all the food there too. So, and that's really rare because a lot of like his other friends or other Brazilians, they're like very picky. They're like, oh, I'm not going to try that,
like poi or
so
squid
yeah.
wow.
So it's great to have someone who's like open-minded, who will try things. And I think that's due to the fact that he also traveled at a young age, kind of saw the world, and being exposed to seeing different places and cultures is so important, just so you have more awareness and appreciation also where you came from.
I don't trust people who aren't open to trying new foods. They're like, oh, I don't like that. Then I say, have you tried it before? No. Yeah. And I'm like, how do you know you don't like it? Yeah. Like, I was in Georgia like a month or two ago, and I brought a bunch of snacks from Hawaii, and then I would share it with the people in my group. And then some people would be like, oh no, I'm good. And I said, have you tried it? He's like, no, I don't know if I like it. I told them just try it. And then they tried it and they liked it.
Yeah.
That's just like it tells me a lot though about a person, because it shows that they're more open-minded and, open to trying new things, which everybody should try.
For sure.
I'm trying to get into some sort of martial arts at some point. That's always been a goal of mine. I like weapons. So I like nunchucks and stuff like that. I've always wanted to do jiu-jitsu, but I got shoulder problems and I had wrist surgery a little over a year ago. So I'm always hesitant to do that.
I see.
Yeah. But I
Well,
love the
if you
discipline.
ever want to
Yeah,
come
yeah.
and check it out and see what
Yeah.
it's about, you're always welcome.
Yeah, I have a couple of friends that do it, and they're all saying, "Yeah, you should come roll with us." But I'm
I'm
just
not
always
gonna
worried
lie,
about.
it is tough on the body.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, yeah, he sprained his ankle, he popped out his shoulder, so he's like, oh, I don't know if you should come, because yeah, it is, and you're in all these weird positions all the time.
Mhm.
But the it's so cool to me, this martial arts and training, because of the discipline factor, and it's so unique where, especially jiu-jitsu, because you're just almost trying to figure out a puzzle. You know, like how do
Yeah.
you get out of this? How do you put somebody into this?
Right.
So I think that's the coolest thing about it. That's why I love watching, but even
Mhm.
though I don't do it.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like for me, I've always loved jujitsu and grappling on the ground because, like you're saying, it's like a puzzle. It's like a chess match, and
Mhm.
you really think a lot, you
Mhm.
know, and you're like, okay, I want to do this. How do I get to that? If I need to do this, this, and this. Okay, if
Mhm.
he reacts like this, then I need to do this to get to this, you know?
Mhm.
And so there's so many different steps and just like thinking patterns
Mhm.
involved. But then also being able to like react like that,
Yeah.
you know, is super important. So,
Do you think that helps with your decision making in life?
yeah,
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly like in a jiu-jitsu match or in a fight, you're constantly needing to make those
Mhm.
decisions, important decisions, you know, in an instant. I never thought of it that way,
Mhm.
but yeah.
I just thought of it right now. Yeah. Are you a quick decision maker, or do you take a while?
I'm a quick decision maker.
Oh,
My
okay.
husband's the opposite.
So it makes sense. Yeah. Well, maybe not for him, but
Yeah, it's
yeah.
just, I think it's a combination of both. I mean, personality also affects the kind of fighter or
Mhm.
like you are, right?
Mhm.
If you're, you know, more methodical to it, and, you know, yeah, we can get into all the different
Mhm. Yeah,
styles
yeah,
and
yeah.
all of that, but yeah.
Go check out the gym and you can learn more about this. So what do you have planned for the next 5, 10, 15, even longer than that years?
Man, let me see.
We got
I haven't done that in a while, you know,
Yeah.
like doing every year, you know, we do like resolutions, and then I think about what I want the next year to look like, and then 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. You know, at least in 2024, you know, excited to be kind of moving forward, get things started with Fightstory and the programs, doing some traveling, seminars, talks about Fightstory and just about mental health. Um, my daughter's going to be 3 next year, and I'll be like 28.
28.
But yeah, I think in the next few years, just, you know, taking that a step further and seeing, okay, well, we're starting here in Hawaii. How can we expand that globally too? And I think, you know, there's so much work to be done. So, you know, it's endless, the possibilities that can occur. And I think one thing about me is I'm very open-minded. So I feel like as long as I keep an open mind, I think opportunities will come, and it's just up to me to like grab them.
Yeah.
So, you know, who knows? I think it's good to have a plan and a goal, but also keeping an open mind that, you know, some things may pop up that may lead you to a better path. So yeah, whatever that may be, but I know, just in the near future, that, you know, we're going to be doing some great things with Fightstory, and really looking forward to that.
Yeah, same. Can you for sure say that you're retired?
I can.
Okay.
Yes.
Can
Yes.
you look at the camera and tell people you're not coming back?
No,
You're
I
not
think
pulling a Tom Brady.
I think the whole reason that a lot of fighters, you know, tend to come out of retirement and back into the fight game is that they don't find something else to kind of replace that feeling of fulfillment and purpose in their life. And so they go back to what they knew that they had and they loved. But for me, you know, I have Fightstory, and for me, that's the greatest purpose that I could have, is, you know, helping people, and it means a lot more to me than any, you know, world championship title or fight like that. I still have a great love for fighting, and although it's been changed, fighting in a different way now, in a different capacity, fighting for just for people, for health, for awareness, and that's why I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the future may hold. I don't know if I'm ever gonna be involved in martial arts in the way that I once was. But I'm at peace with it. That's why my friend told me this, something that really stuck with me actually. And she said, there are some things that are not meant to follow you throughout your whole life. They're meant to follow you for just a portion. And that's really, spoken to me, and that's really, resonated with me and helped me with many different aspects, not just of, fighting. And I think it's important, to appreciate that moment that you had, and then to be okay and be at peace with that. It's not going to be the same anymore. But that doesn't mean that everything good in your life is gone. You're gonna look forward to the next thing, what's to come, and finding that new purpose or that new joy. So yeah, it doesn't end there.
Yeah, I'm stoked for you that you have that, because I mean I've seen it happen many times. I mean, BJ Penn is one, Hilo boy, just like me, grew up watching him, and then the end of his career was so rough to watch. Always coming back and trying to fight and fight and fight. So seeing somebody go out on top like you did, it's cool. It's cool to see that. It's like, she did it right.
Thank you.
And then the fact that you're at peace with it, and you have no regrets. I think that seems like you're in a really good place with that. But what if somebody offered you $100 million to fight Jake Paul, to box Jake Paul?
I think, I think there needs to be like a why behind, behind things. And for me, $100 million, yeah, that'd be great. But I mean, I think I can find other ways of getting to that, through something that, I'm behind and support. And I mean, the fight was crazy and I love it so much. I have nothing but love, like the highs, the lows, everything in between. It's been an amazing experience. And, to have that insight into what that lifestyle was like and what it took to get there. I think that's going to be just fuel for me moving forward and helping the fighters, through Fightstory now. And, if I didn't go through all that I went through, getting to the top and then even having my 2 losses, I wouldn't be able to relate to as many people now, through Fightstory, what I'm wishing to do to help combat sports athletes. So, again, I think just everything in life happened for a reason, for a purpose.
Awesome. What is one thing you wish people knew about you that they don't?
That's hard. I feel like I'm really open with everyone.
Or something you think people misunderstand about you?
Shoot. One thing that I would like to tell people is that, and I know it's a lot more prevalent now with just the video that's come out and with what we're doing with Fightstory, but as much as I've accomplished in my life, and as tough as you may think I am, I still, life is still a battle for me. It's still really hard some days. And, I try my best to just put on a brave face, keep moving forward. But there are moments where I need to take a step back and address that and be real with myself. Because of course, of course I want to show up and do this podcast and be who I am, and I am a very open and bubbly person, but I think there's just understanding there's so many different parts of a person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to have that, I'm not ashamed of those parts of me. It just makes me, human. And I just understanding that, being okay with that. It's not a sign of weakness. It doesn't make you any lesser of a person. And just learning to accept yourself is really the biggest thing. And learning to be kind, to others, because life isn't easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
But don't ever lose your smile.
Yeah.
Delis.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to get one of those shirts.
I'll get it for you for sure.
I really love it.
Thank you.
I have one shirt that says shakas and minoakas. And so shakas and then minoakas smile in Hawaiian. So it's like a face with it's like shakas, I think, making a
smile.
Happy face or something.
Okay.
Yeah. I think maybe the shaka is the smile or something. I know, I think I've worn it on the podcast before, but just the happy face is such a like fun and welcoming and warm symbol.
I mean, I think it's like what we all strive to be. We want life to be, happy and enjoyable. And it's like, how do we, attain that? To have the good, there is also the bad. But having that balance, I think, is key.
Yeah. What is one piece of advice that you have for somebody going through some struggle, not as happy as they want to be, and just to like get them out of that dark place?
So, what I would say is that do some reflection, do some thinking on, can you identify the things that you are not happy with in your life, or the things that you feel are bringing you down? And, what is that stemming from? Why is it making you feel that way? I think being able to take that time to try and figure out and acknowledge, these feelings. It's okay to feel this way, but why? And that's the first step, acknowledgement. And the second step is, okay, how can we deal with this? What are the steps we're going to take to, is it an environment? Is it a workspace? Is it a relationship? What I'm learning these days is to really take care of yourself. That whole self-care movement is protecting your peace, protecting that peace of mind. And if there's something in your life bringing you down or toxic, you need to do what's best for you. And maybe it's not cutting something off completely, but maybe it's just some distance. And I think that it's okay to do that, because at the end of the day, like, this is your life that you're living. No one else is living it, but you. So you need to just take the steps, acknowledge what you're feeling. Everything, is valid, but how can we take the steps to living a better life, one that we enjoy, and it is possible. Even from people who've had, really traumatic like upbringings or really horrible things happen in their life, we can't change anything about the past, unfortunately, right? But we can figure out what kind of a life we want to live moving forward. And that's the kind of control we have, every one of us has. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can create your own life. That's the coolest thing about life. And I'm realizing that like I could make my life however I want to, I don't need to go to college, get a 9-to-5 job, do all the things that you think people expect you to do. You could just create your life. I'm sure a lot of people expected you to keep fighting for however long, right? So it's nice when you kind of just block out all the noise and just find that peace. I think that's what I'm on now, is just my journey is just to find peace. Well, however that looks. Yeah. But we got to work at it first. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Before we end the podcast, I want to know, what is your life hack?
Oh, yes. Life hack. For me, what's helped me get through a lot of things, almost everything, is, realizing that everything has a purpose. And, I'm not very religious or anything like that, but I do believe that things are meant to happen for a reason and we have no control over it. So, good things and bad things. We can, work towards a goal and accomplish that, and that's great. But maybe there was a purpose for that, that the universe wanted that to happen so that you could help someone else, or there was a bigger reason or meaning behind that. And I think that for a lot of things that happened in my life, for the bad things that's happened, it's hard. It's really hard to go through some of them, some on a smaller scale, some on a larger scale. But, we have no control over the bad and horrible things that happen sometimes in our life, But can we use that moment and turn it into something good, something better, that there was a purpose or a reason we had to go through that and suffer? So thinking like that has helped me a lot and has helped me to get through a lot of difficult moments, because, man, like, if we could only have all the good, you think it'd be great, right? But I think also the bad helps you to appreciate the good a lot more. But yeah, I think there's a bigger meaning or purpose for things that happen in life. And we may not be able to see it at this moment in time, but maybe years down the road. And sometimes that's all we need. Give it time. I know if you're in a position right now where life seems like you can't make it through, just give it some time. I promise you things are going to be different in a week, in a month, in a year. And, and just keep trying to look for the good, because it's there in little moments of beauty and happiness. And, look for those things, live for those things.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you look for good, you'll find good. If you look for bad, you'll find bad. So always just look for the good. Yeah. And again, don't ever lose your smile. I love that. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, I just got my last fast 5 questions. So these are just rapid fire answers, all right?
Okay.
Let me pull this up. Oh, sorry. All right. So, what is your favorite post-fight food?
Post-fight food?
Yeah. You've been weight cutting, you've been training, you got your hand lifted.
Yeah, I love a good steak and dessert, definitely. Like a variety of desserts.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have you been to Gaslamp before?
No.
It's in Kailua. Oh, you should go.
Okay.
So this guy I do the sauna and cold plunge with, he works over there. He's like a part owner. He invited Jordan and I, and we had a friend visiting as well. So we went there. I'll show you some pictures after. They have this like hanging tomahawk steak thing, and it's a speakeasy. So it's like you have to like say a code to get into the door.
So cool.
I'll connect you guys, and he'll take care of you guys.
Thank
if
you.
you want to go with your
date night.
husband. Yeah, just find a babysitter.
Cool.
But it's one of my favorite places that I've been to.
Oh,
and the food
I'm
is
excited.
amazing. They started us off with caviar bombs. What was it, Jordan? Caviar or something? Bump. Yeah.
Wow.
Like and then I forget what I had, but it was really good, and the dessert was good. But it's a cool experience. It's like the whole place is probably as big as, maybe a little smaller than our studio, and then they have a jazz player at the top,
Wow, so
playing
cool.
live jazz music, I think. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I just saw Clark this morning, so shout out to Clark. But yeah, go check it out
Okay.
if you like steak.
Yes.
Next question. Favorite fighter of all time?
My siblings,
Hey.
Victoria and Christian Lee.
That's a good
and Adrian
answer.
up and coming.
Still earning his stripes.
Yeah, he's finishing high school first.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so another Mililani grad over here was saying that he didn't see you at school some of these days back in the days. Is that true? Can we confirm or deny?
I would be traveling a lot for competitions.
So you had a good excuse.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, favorite hobby?
Huh. That's so weird. I never really like think about like, oh, that's my hobby, you know, because I was always training.
Yeah.
Right.
Favorite thing to do outside of training?
Favorite thing to do outside of training? Well, it's not really a hobby, but like going to the beach, swimming.
Yeah, that's fine.
One thing that I started doing is cooking a lot more now. So yeah,
What's the best thing you cook?
Oh, I've found a really great recipe for this like creamy lemon pasta. And we put some like scallops and shrimps in it. Yeah, it's good.
Nice. All right. Favorite way to decompress?
Oh, so what I love doing, and it helps a lot, is, you know, after my day of work and with my daughter and things, my husband comes home and he just gives me like half an hour of just like, okay, go take a hot shower, you know, go do whatever you want. So I'll go and I'll like have some time to myself, like on my music, listen to some music, go in the shower. And that really helps me to kind of just have some me time. You know, I love my daughter, of course, but it helps to have just some time to unwind. And then, you know, I have this book that I read, and it's a different like excerpt for each day. There's like a new quote or saying or message, and I love taking the time to just like read that either before bed or in the morning, and just to kind of have some time for myself and for my thoughts. Yeah.
Nice. That's super good. Yeah, I love being able to just talk. The best friends are the ones you can just hang out with and not talk to. And you leave and you're like, oh, that was such a fun time hanging out. Not necessarily just like going on your phone, whatever, but like you don't feel pressure to just always like have a conversation or like be actively engaged in doing stuff. Yeah. Okay, last one. Favorite TV show or movie?
Oh, okay. Favorite movie, Southpaw.
Oh, nice. That's a good one. Is that the one with Jake Gyllenhaal? Or I'm thinking of another actor.
With the fighter and his wife.
Yeah,
I can't.
I think it was Jake Gyllenhaal.
I don't know.
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
Wait, I think so.
Yeah,
we'll have to look it up.
That was
after
a good one.
this.
I remember it was a good one.
And then series. I have a lot of different series that we watch. Me and my husband.
Nice.
We finally finished the Game of Thrones.
Congrats, and hope you weren't too disappointed at
the ending.
Episodes.
Yeah, it was okay, but it was like it was really interesting throughout. And then actually, this is an older series, but How to Get Away with Murder.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, that was actually pretty interesting, and I liked that one. But it's hard to find good series nowadays.
Yeah, there's so much out there, so you kind of gotta just weed through the bad stuff.
Yeah.
I've been watching some good ones.
You have to share.
Yeah. I started watching Only Murders in the Building because it's about a podcast that they started with Steve Martin and Martha Short, Selena Gomez.
Yeah, I think I watched a couple episodes.
Yeah, I still gotta catch up on that. I like all the Marvel stuff too, like Loki.
Marvel, okay.
Did you?
I love
Loki?
the X-Men series.
Oh yeah,
X-Men movies are my favorite. Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes of all time was when, I don't know which X-Men it was, but they had the fast guy Quicksilver. The place was exploding, and then he was like running and saving people. Do you remember that scene?
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite scenes of all time. But yeah. All right, well, that's all we have today. Mahalo, Angela, for coming in, talking stories, breaking in our new place. How's the chair? How's the
Comfy,
it's good?
so
Comfy?
nice. Yeah.
Okay. What's your suggestion? How can we liven up this place? Because you said you love interior designing.
We got I think some paint on the wall, some
Okay.
art, and some snacks.
Snacks. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. I have beef jerky there if you want. All right. Did you have anything you want to share before we wrap up? If not, tell us where we can find you.
Just thank you so much for having me, and for everyone who listened and tuned in. Thank you so much. It's an honor for me to be able to open up and share this side of me and all of these behind the scenes stories. I hope that it can relate to you and your life. So on social media, I'm just mostly on Instagram, Angela Lee MMA, and then the nonprofit's also on Instagram at Fightstory Official. And our website where you can donate and learn more about Fightstory is fightstory.org. So
make a donation. We got the ball rolling.
Thank you.
And she's gonna start doing TikTok dances. She said that's gonna be her next journey. Well, mahalo, Angela, for joining us on the Keep It Aloha podcast. Spread love, be kind to one another, and mahalo for listening to us today. We have new episodes every Thursday, so make sure you follow us and leave a review. I'm your host, Kamaka, and remember to always keep it aloha.